We are ready to rock and roll. All right. So we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Warrior Women in Business podcast. My name is Jasmine Sandler. I'm your host, CEO of Warrior Women in Business. And we are on episode 31 today. Very excited to have my friend, colleague, Warrior Women in Business fashion pro and master, Tina Trevino, on today. So before we get started on today's interview, I have a couple of things to announce. So first and foremost, for any of the Latin Business Today audience or Tina's friends and family that may be listening, and any new Warrior Women in Business members and attendees, a little bit about Warrior Women in Business, what it's all about. It's very simple, actually. The mission of Warrior Women in Business, which started as an entity only in the last few months, you may be familiar with our conference called Brand U, which has essentially been shut down because of COVID, is really an entity and a member organization for women that are warriors, that are in the place where they need support and real support from women that have been there and done that. So what I do is I bring together the best of the best women in different industries, cross industry, from fashion, law, music, film, art, to the table, and have them share their stories, advice, and tangible action steps for you to take action in your careers. Whether you are a woman that's had a corporate career for quite a long time and you're looking to transition into entrepreneurship, or you are in entrepreneurship, we are here for you. The website is warriorwomenbusiness.com. For those of you that don't know, on there you can find all the upcoming classes, courses, and events that we are hosting, including 2 classes and courses that we'll be talking about today that Tina is so graciously hosting on how to develop a fashion brand. And if you've been on our site, you would notice that we have now merchandise, and that's all thanks to Tina's brilliance. So with that, I want to welcome Tina to the show. You can go off of on mute right now, Tina. Say hello to the audience.
Hi, everybody. It's really fun to be here with you, Jasmine. I'm so excited about this. I've been dying for today. And I'm super excited to share what I know and how I got into this crazy business with everybody.
It is a crazy business.
It is.
So, I'm just going to let me just give everybody a quick background on you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
And background on how we connected, because I think that's really important to tell the longevity of the Warrior Women Business story. So Tina and I actually connected, I think, through Ramona, right?
Yeah.
And I want to give a shout out to Ramona, who's my financial advisor. She is tremendous. So I connected with this woman, Ramona, I've just started working with this year in being my financial advisor because I have a lot going on. She's very helpful. And she's a true warrior woman because I kind of talked to her about what Warrior Women in Business is all about. And she said, well, you need to connect with my friend Tina. So I connected with Tina and I told her, hey, listen, I've had an idea for a fashion brand for ages. And as you can see in the background here, I have my motorcycle helmet. So I drive bikes, and I was like, I have this brilliant idea for a warrior women lifestyle motorcycle clothing brand. And most people would be like, you're insane. But she said, you're not insane. Let's make this thing happen. I mean, just to hear that, just to hear support from someone, when you're trying to start a business or a new business is really what keeps you going, So that's how we connected. And, we started chatting. And her experience is so tremendous. She's a CEO of a fashion brand called Tocaya, which she's going to talk to us about today. So she's been in the industry for quite a while, although she looks extremely young. And, developing this brand and being in fashion like back whenever to now has just changed over time. Right now, retail is so crushed, and she's constantly evolving and redeveloping a fashion brand and supporting through her mentorship other aspiring fashion designers. So, we've connected, and we're developing programs to support the women out there that are interested in this field. So I've asked her to be on to talk about, her experience in the field, what Takaya is all about. She also, like me, is also running another program and organization with Latin Business Today. She's going to talk about that publication and events and what they do. So that's Tina. Did I miss anything?
I don't know. Maybe a couple things. I don't know. I think you did pretty good, though.
I think I did all right.
I think you caught it all. So.
All right. So, my first question to you is, being in the fashion business is no easy feat. It's a long, hard road. I've had lots of friends in the fashion business. So can you tell us your individual story in terms of why you chose it, how your individual story has evolved, and how you've shaken off some of the obstacles that have come to you and met success?
Yeah, sure. I love the story of how I got into the business because I don't think I chose it. I think it chose me.
Ah, cool.
I was always a creative kid, and I was really lucky. My mother, who is a Latina, Mexican American, she decided at a young age, before she had me, that she wanted to have a bridal shop. And my father was supportive of it. And so she ran her own shop out of the house. We had a separate place that she could have the business and a showroom, and she would have brides and, their bridesmaids come in and purchase dresses and bridesmaids gowns. And she'd do all the alterations and some of the designs and the veils and things like that. And as she was doing alterations, she would cut these beautiful scraps of fabric off the gowns. And I had all these incredible fabrics. So I had the best dressed Barbies because she taught me how to sew and how to make patterns. And I loved it from a young age. And I just knew that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. So it definitely stuck with me as I got older. And they were always supportive of that, even though it's a very creative industry. And I don't think growing up in Ohio, you would think, that's a business my kids should be in.
Yeah.
But they were super supportive, and they always knew I was gonna do it no matter what. So I'm really lucky I had supportive parents kind of leading the way and letting me do what I needed to get into this business. So that was the start of it.
Okay.
And then I pretty much worked my way up. I went to college, went to FIT here in New York. They sent me to New York and kind of let me have at it. And once I got out of school here, I started as a little lowly assistant designer and kind of worked my way.
How did that start, and how did you get your first? Because I have some students listening. So how did that start?
Yeah, so I'm sure schools probably have better programs than they did back then. When I was at FIT, they had a group where you could go to so that you could find all the jobs in the industry. You had the connections there. You could, apply to whatever jobs. And at that time, because that was in 92, there were a lot of companies out there, a ton of companies. So It wasn't hard to get a first job. I think it's harder because there's lesser places today, but I think the resources at school are probably better to help guide you. And now young kids are getting into internships, so that gives them a springboard already to end up somewhere. So I do think the opportunities are a lot more readily available for young students getting out of school these days. But I started as an assistant designer with a very low salary. Had to have a few roommates and worked my way up, and just kept learning more. The industry was really flourishing then, and so you could kind of jump up through the ranks, and every time you would look for another position, you could dramatically gain more income as you kind of moved up the ranks with more experience. So I went from an assistant designer to an associate designer to a lead designer to a design director to an executive design director.
But how did you make all those things happen? The climb up.
I think the first time I did it, it was scary because I was forced to. The company that I was at was actually going to close. So I got forced out of it. I had to
like the exact situation that we're in now.
Yeah. So I was forced to, but I think that's not the reason you should do it, right? It just happened to be the first time that I was forced to. So, I had to redo my resume, reach out there, find connections, ask for help, ask people in the industry. Do you know anybody, who's looking for a designer? So you do need to make sure you have those connections and people you stay in good communication with, and don't ever burn any bridges. I know people say that all the time, but
That's
I truly mean it. No matter what, you got to keep your cool about things because you never know who you might need to ask for something. So
that advice no one's ever said on this podcast, Tina, and that's really good advice.
Yeah, you
because
have to.
you have to, because if I look at my own business, the way that my business works on the digital marketing consulting and doing branding work, and any small business owner can attest to this, it's harder to get a new client than it is to grow an existing client.
Correct.
I mean,
It
it's pretty, unless you don't want the client. But if you want the client, then you can't burn those bridges. You have to continually be building relationships.
Right. And to your
Yeah.
point, even if you're looking for another client, better it come from somebody within, because they know you.
True. That's
So,
also true.
so make sure you maintain all those incredible connections you have, no matter how difficult it is sometimes. So.
Yeah, I have a great intern right now. Her name is Allie. I'm going to give her a shout out because she's just awesome, doing a great job. And I've had a lot of interns, and because you started the story saying how you started at the beginning. So when you start at the beginning, I always say when I hire someone, that's what I tell them, even, you're building a career, and it's always about, even if you don't necessarily like that position, you're moving on to something else, try not to burn a bridge. Yeah. I just think this is really, really good advice. That's why I'm sticking to it for half of a second.
And you'll always learn something no matter what out of that job, whether you liked it or you didn't like it. You'll pick up valuable tools that you'll just keep traveling with. So
yeah, I mean, I did too.
Just think of it as a stepping stone, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So getting on to the fashion industry. So it can be, what was that movie? The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
God, I love that.
It's such a great movie. If you haven't seen it and you're a young one, you got to go and watch it.
It's the best movie. Anyway, so that gets to my second question. It can be highly competitive. And yeah, just a little bit, especially when it comes to women. No, I'm just joking around. But so can you share how you've been able to make female allies? Because this is what Warrior Women in Business is all about, making female allies. So how have you done that in the fashion industry, and what has been in the outcome? Maybe one example.
Yeah, to your point, it's truly really the way it was back in the 80s, though, in the early 90s. It was a very backstabbing, catty business.
Yeah.
I think as the landscape has changed and it's become more difficult in this career path, and also what's happening today, women are just becoming much more empowering, helpful, collaborative. They really realize that their networks are the networks that are going to help each other. And we need each other. So I think as time has gone by, it's changed. And I think for myself, as a creative person, that type of personality, I know that collaborating with people and gaining insight from people is just how I operate. I know the more I can get to share with my clients, the better. So if I need help, I'm going to ask for it, whoever it is who can help me.
Yeah.
That was one thing that I think I learned a long time ago. I had a project where I was not, I'm a designer by nature. I'm not necessarily the business. I wasn't the business side of it. I am now.
Right. Of course.
But, that took time to get comfortable with it. And so there was a point where I had to find somebody who could help me lay out a planogram for a store and lay out the merchandising strategy of how much to buy for what season. And I had to find somebody to ask. And I really felt uncomfortable having to ask somebody for all this help. But at the end of the day, it wasn't my skill set. And then I learned from them, right? So you can't be threatened by what you don't know. You can only ask for the best people to help you. And then from there, hopefully you learn and you can take it on yourself. So I would say, learn to collaborate with people. You're going to need to surround yourself with people who have skill sets that you don't have. If you don't understand the marketing or what it takes, find yourself someone who is talented at that, who you can exchange services with to help you. I think the collaboration is key for sure.
Absolutely. So talk to us about Tocaya as a brand. Like, how did you create this brand? Well, first of all, tell us about the name, and how did you create it as a unique brand, and how have you been successful with it? Because it's, again, going back to competition and brand.
Yeah.
It's just, tell us about that.
So Takaya came about because of the change in the industry. As I started to, the last 4 years or so, I really saw the retail scene changing, brick and mortar stores having a lot of difficulty, my client base changing. all these big box stores are the ones who are having the most success, or the discounters having the most success. And that's fine, but we need to help some of these mid-level stores and smaller stores as well. So, I started to see where I wanted to focus my energies. And so at that point, I also realized I've been helping so many other people build their brands. I've worked with Brooke Shields, I've worked with Nicki Minaj and Adam Levine and Wendy Williams. And I thought, I think I'm kind of ready to do this for myself. So I think it's a year and a half ago, basically. I decided to kick it into gear, and I was looking for the name of what I wanted this to be. I happened to be on vacation in Puerto Vallarta with some friends, and somebody spoke to my husband. My husband's name is Dave, and he said, "You're my Tocaya." And although it's a Spanish word, I had never heard it. I asked what it meant, and they said it means namesake. So if your name was Tina, you would be my Tocaya. So it's people of similar nature, similar name, your namesake. And I kind of translated that to be the women who I want to be my similar, tribe,
Yes.
what I want from my brand. I want women to feel empowered, comfortable. We were going to, now we can't, but I would have events, pop-ups, and I would meet these women and share stories and talk about the fashion. And it was just kind of a cool networking way to do business, which I still think is the way we're gonna move forward with small business still. We just need to get past this really challenging time of no events. But that's where the name came from. I heard it a couple times after that, and it kind of seemed like fate. I'm like, this is it. This is the name. So
I hear you.
So I kept at that. And then we launched the first collection in April of 2019. And it's been great. It's a lifestyle collection that is all about comfort and versatility and ease of use and easy to travel with. At the time, I didn't realize how important that was going to be with COVID.
I know, wow.
Now that we are in this time and era, it's actually a brand that really helps with everything going on. It's an easy brand to wear. You look pulled together. It's not too much like overthinking it. It's just streamlined and easy. And yeah, it's been great. So I can't complain.
Do you have a Takaya piece there?
So what you see in the back is actually some of the newer pieces for holiday. We have all these cute completers, like cozy, fuzzy yarn, cool fabric. So
nice.
And then I just got one more piece in today that is
I love that top.
Cute little poncho-y wrap thing. So
it's
beautiful. So a lot of this will go up on the website. I got to get that going this weekend. So
and the website for everybody?
It's tocayashop.com. And actually, we just loaded up a discount for anybody watching today, or for any warrior women in business. If you purchase,
we'll put it on the website. Yeah.
Now till the end of the year, the code is WWIB20, and you get 20% off any purchase.
There we go. All the warrior women are going to be comfortable, sexy, sophisticated.
While they're working like this.
While they're working like this. All right. I love it. I'm going to have to order a top. Anyway, so for the women that are in fashion, so the women that are already existing in the fashion industry or are new and want to grow, what's like one bit of advice on either side? So let's take, of which I know, a lot of women that are like in the perimeters, I guess, of the fashion world. Obviously, I'm not in that world. Doing something to support the industry or selling to consumers, or you're looking to get into it. So for the two sides, in the business or haven't yet started and are interested, what piece of advice would you give to either side at the moment during this situation with retail going down and an inevitable major change in the fashion industry?
Yeah, I think if you're outside of it and you're looking or thinking about getting into it, I think first of all you have to know that you really, really want to do this. It's a time and money investment. So be sure you have the stamina and the drive and the energy to get into it. First of all, it's a business. Sometimes people mistake fashion and how fun and glamorous it can be with the fact that it's a business. You know, what we all see at the end of the day on magazine shoots and editorial shots is the final product. Everything up to that is like any other business. It's a lot of work. So make sure you really want to get into it. But then if you have your mind set, and then I would just say, jump into it. Because if you overthink it too much, you will start to talk yourself out of it. There are a lot of components, you know? So if you really are serious and you want to do this and this is your goal, jump in and get started. And you will need to surround yourself with some people who are in the industry, probably, because unless you know every aspect of everything, you know, there's the design part, there's, you know, the how do you get samples made, there's production, there's budget, there's your website, marketing, sales, distribution. Unless you know everything, it's impossible without surrounding yourself with people who have that experience. So if you're an outsider looking in, that would be my advice to you. If you are in the business right now, I would hope you have a great job, because right now I know a lot of people who are unemployed, but I have been helping find some people some jobs. I'm so excited. I just got a friend hired at a company, and now I have a couple other people. I'm trying to like find some spots for them. But hopefully, you know, you're in the industry, and I think it's what we said, you know, keep learning from where you are in the business, but keep your eye on the future as well. Don't get too comfortable. It's a very ever-changing industry, and stay on top of what the changes are, because yes, there is going to be a huge change, especially after COVID, the pandemic, in terms of how the business changes. I do think that direct to consumer, supporting small business, supporting local business, these are all big concepts. Sustainability. Keep your eye on those keywords and those key things that are moving, just moving targets that you need to be ready to you know, figure out how to manage.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, you're right. It's not in business, in fashion, and in other business. It's not just focused on the now. You have to also look at the future.
Yeah, that's how,
You know?
I think I've managed to be in the industry this long and just keep moving, kind of looking at where I am, what I've gathered information wise, and taking it to the next step to keep moving along the path.
Yeah, I mean, at Warrior Women in Business, you know, we have coaches now, and the point is to bring together coaches that can serve across the continuum of business development. You know. So and that, my point is, if you don't have a plan, you don't even know where you're going. You know what I mean? I mean, and then you'll waste money.
That's the big thing, you know.
To Ramona's point, like we talk about that all the time. I'm like, I just don't want to waste a penny. I mean,
nobody has it these days. You have to be very smart and economical about the choices that you make, and make sure that you have a return on investment for every dollar you're putting into your business.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's talk about Latin Biz Today.
Yes.
Today.
Yes.
So Tina interviewed me on that. That was very fun.
And it is a great publication.
Yeah.
And we were so happy to have you on with all of your, you know, insight on building a business too. I thought that was incredible.
Thanks.
Because that's what Latin Biz Today is all about. It's helping entrepreneurs, startup businesses, or even if you're in business and you're just looking for new ways to advance and grow, we're all about helping those people. It's a digital publication, all digital. And we provide content and resources for anyone who is looking to start a business or growing their business. We tend to skew a little bit heavier on the demographic of females, interestingly enough.
Good.
So that says a lot, you know, that there are women starting businesses.
Oh yeah, we're covering this all the time. That's the whole point. The whole start of Warrior Women in Business is the first place. It's like, wow, all these women.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what's so phenomenal about it. And women are much more willing and open to, I think, network and communicate and collaborate and all of these things. So for me, it's a fun job. I'm a partner and also the director of community relations. So I'm part of the outreach team, always looking for new content for us. And yeah, it's been great. I love being a part of it. We're growing and we're doing really well. So just happy about being a part of it.
Yeah, everybody should check it out. I think it's a great publication. It's what I like about it is that you're staying current with what's going on, and it's not like an in your face. It's just it's a nice to read and nice to engage with. And you also, when COVID is over, I'm sure you go back to doing community-based events. So
Exactly. Well, I
yeah,
think what, to your point, it's latinbusinesstoday.com. Sorry. We just rebranded. We just got a new logo, a new
nice,
website.
nice. I didn't even know that. Congrats.
It's really fun. It used to be strictly business, but we've seen that as time has changed, everybody's, business is life and life is business. And it's kind of just like a
so
circular,
true.
right?
Yes.
You don't know where the cutoff points are. Maybe there aren't any.
I think you need 2 clocks in life, or 3 in my case. I need 3. I have 3 things going on every day.
You need more. But
I know, it's ridiculous.
We've added content that is lifestyle driven to it. So we do it with a Latino nuance. So we have culture and recipes and music and fashion, and then we twist it so that you see the business side of what these things are too. Like, how does a musician create his own business or her own business and turn it into something successful and prosperous? So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's what I love about it, because as a musician and an aspiring fashion designer, it's giving me the keys and the permission to move forward.
Exactly. There's plenty of good content on there that we can all relate to. And I'm certainly approachable if anybody is ever looking for more information.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So at the end, we'll go through that. All right. So because we have more to cover, more questions I have. So, it's obvious to me you understand the importance of being a warrior. And, once we get, so for everybody, we are now ordering. So we have a couple of things coming up, which I haven't even mentioned yet. But if you go to the Warrior Women business site, you'll see right when you get to the homepage that there's a link to go to our store. And so Tina, who's helped me. We are partners. Tina, we together have launched a store, and we have a new collection. So we're going to be ordering T-shirts that will be available as soon as they come to us. And so I wanted to mention that. So, as a warrior, how would you define a warrior woman in fashion specifically? Like, when you think about a woman that comes into the fashion world and she has to be independent and make it on her own, what is that perception for you?
Well, first of all, I love being referred to as a warrior woman in fashion. That's like the coolest title. So
I just made it up. So
I like it. I'm going to get a little tag.
No, we're going to have another T-shirt.
Okay. Well, yes, that I want to. So
I know, I can't wait till they come. But go ahead.
I think if, as a warrior woman in fashion, I think it's being kind of a Jill of all trades, let's say. I think if you have the design sensibility, that's great. But you do have to learn a little bit about every component of the business. If you don't know a little bit about everything, you won't understand how to get to the end and how to be successful. Yeah. So I think you got to understand a little bit to some degree. You can't say, I don't do any of the financial, and I don't want it. Like, you have to have an understanding about these things. You may not have it at the beginning, but you need to start to learn. Like I said, I was never the one who wanted to be a part of that when I was, in the regular industry, and I was strictly design. And then I had to learn about production, and I had to learn about cost sheets and how to figure out, all of the costs involved.
Yeah, there's a lot behind it.
Landing fee, customs duty, all these kinds of things. And I think, like, you need to know those components. A little bit. You need to understand marketing. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean for your brand? How involved in marketing are you going to want to be? Do you want to market to the domestic, world here? Do you want to get broader and do something overseas? Right. Do you want to do, just your own small direct to consumer brand? You got to understand.
It's a big, yes.
Yeah. So that's what I would say. Being a warrior woman is not being afraid to learn these things and empower yourself with those tools, right? They're great tools to have. And should you want to shift gears and do something else in another business, you're always going to use those kinds of tools as well. So
listen, at the end of the day, I love this. And it makes perfect sense. I see this like beautifully dressed warrior woman, but with a big brain,
Big brain.
So I see. But anyways,
a big sexy brain.
Be sexy. The key word is sexy in this whole conversation today. You gotta feel sexy to feel good about yourself and be a warrior woman in fashion in some respects.
Of course, yeah. I think that
Yeah.
it's being smart and a leader and empowering, that all together rolled up in a package is pretty darn cool.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, like I remember back in grad school, you know, when I had time to read books.
Yeah, I know,
uh,
right?
but
When I
you know,
had when I had time to sew things.
yeah, I don't know how to sew. But anyway, at all. I sewed. No, I have another story. I can't tell it on the podcast. I was a rebel in junior high. I was in a sewing class, and my teacher was like 90 years old, and so she was senile. So we had this project, and we had to sew something, and I was like, I don't know how to sew. So she had sewn something like years ago, and it was in this closet, and I must have been like 11. I don't know, but I took it and I gave it to her, and I said I made it, and I got an A.
Bad.
I'm a badass. Anyway, it's okay. Like, you know what? Whatever. I didn't hurt anybody. I did hurt myself because now I don't know how to sew.
You just wanted a good grade.
It's the only time in school I was really bad. So I told the story on Warrior Women in Business. I am unafraid of being real as a musician. Anyway, so no, what I was going to say is, knowledge is power in every business situation. You have to be, and that's why Warrior Women in Business has its whole education arm. It's really about learning and learning from people that have actually done it and can prove it, So, all right. So we are getting to questions soon,
Okay.
but just peeing off of that little statement there, peeling off of that, I know that we're doing a couple things with Warrior Women in Business and Tina. So for those that are watching and listening, we are going to do a full 4-week, it's a rolling 4-week class, really intended for people that really want to build a fashion brand from like end to end, whether you're coming out of FIT or you're, you have some startup money or you have an existing product, let's say. We have a 4-week course that's rolling dates, and that's already on the website, right? But we are just announced by demand, actually. A lot of people just want to kind of get the feel of it and maybe have a couple of things that they can do. So we're doing a workshop November 18th in the evening, 6 p.m. It just got listed on warriorwomenbusiness.com. Tina's offering 15% off. It's already like the cost of like lunch. So
a New York City cocktail.
Pretty much, which we will all have when COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
So can you share with us a couple of things that people will learn on November 18th?
Yeah. So it's just a tight, intensive class for those of you who want to kind of get your feet wet and hear a little bit more about what getting into the business is all about. And, initially we'll talk about concept and creation and what it takes to have a good idea, how to bring a good idea to market, talking about what fills the need and a void in the market, and demographics, just to kind of get you to see if what you have is something that you think is a real deal idea to get moving on to the next steps. And then we'll touch on some of the other things that I talked about earlier, those key things that you need to incorporate throughout the business to get it going, which would be the prototypes, production, budget. We'll touch on those things, the marketing, just to kind of give you a hit of everything that will be in the 4-week the 4-week masterclass, actually. And so if you like what you see and hear there, then I urge you to take the masterclass, where you'll really learn everything that you need, and you'll have my help, my experience at your disposal to ask as many questions as you want. And honestly, I am excited to help any person who wants to get started in the business. There's nothing better than, at this point in my life, being able to help other people do what they want to do and get into the industry.
Well, I got to say, I am a testament, a guinea pig to Tina's generosity. And I'm being very real here, which I always am anyway, is, I come across so many different people in business, and I have for many, many, many years at this point. And Tina's been nothing but generous with me.
Oh, thank you.
No, I mean, really. I mean, it's very hard to find female allies that are really there for you and want to get involved and just super helpful and talented. So, I mean, if you have any interest at all, just like me, if you're like, hey, I have this crazy idea for a motorcycle jacket, which is still going to come out, and wetsuit and skateboard and
We
all the
have a
fun.
lot of things. We just touched the tip of the iceberg. We have a lot more to do with you and your brand. So I'm
So much
excited about
product development happening. So yeah, so if you have any interest, it's November 18, 6 p.m. It's going to be hosted on warriorwomenbusiness.com. So you can go there today. You can see the event. You can sign up. That's fine. So now we're going to go, we're done with the Q&A. So we're going to go into audience questions now. So I'm going to check over on Facebook to see what's happening. So just give me a minute.
Sure.
Generally, it takes a few minutes for people to ask questions, but please ask a question. It doesn't matter how dumb it is. No,
there are no
I'm
dumb
just
questions.
joking. It's such a joke. There's no dumb questions. Actually, leads me to another story before I get into the questions. So back when I worked at IBM, I was a director at IBM for years, before I got into digital marketing, I remember going into a meeting and being like the youngest person in the room.
Oh my God. I remember days like that.
Right. And there was this like major executive guy. It was pretty much like, back then it was mainly men. I don't give a damn. And so it was all men and me, maybe. And I was like the youngest person in the room. But I had a question. And I kept saying that in my head. And I was so nervous. My heart was beating like mad. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. Now I'm a keynote speaker and a singer. I don't give a damn. But I asked a question. And what happened was it inspired a conversation. So I think, like, if you do take Tina's class, ask questions, because you just learn so much, and you never know in group settings where those conversations can go, because Tina has great knowledge, but also in the group, there's a lot of conversations that can happen. All right. Yeah. So now getting into, whoa, I have so many questions here. I'm reading off my phone. I'm like using a laptop, a phone. That's why I'm looking around like crazy. So question 1, I only have a design idea that I want to produce. I don't know anything about production, manufacturing, or marketing. How do I execute my idea?
Oh, that's really good. Well, first of all, I hope you have a fabulous idea. I'm guessing you do. But once you have an idea, and if you really don't know anything more than that, I would be a woman. You could ask already, but about the whole process. But you will have to find yourself somebody who's probably been in the business and gone down the road. I gotta say, you're gonna need somebody who can help you do the technical design for it. Somebody who can help locate a sample room or a small factory to get you a prototype made of whatever it is. So you'll need to find connections like that. You can certainly reach out on LinkedIn, any kind of online places as well, to see if there's anybody who can help you, but probably somebody in the industry with some experience.
Yeah, getting someone on your side, a mentor, right?
Yep.
Okay. Question 2, how have you continued to be successful even during the pandemic when retail has slowed down?
Oh, yeah, that's tricky, right? That's just tough and tricky. Well, no matter what, when lockdown happened, first of all, everything shut down. There wasn't anything. I'd had orders for some other things that I've been working on, and everything got canceled and canned. I was lucky when stuff started to reopen again. I think it was about August when people were like, oh, we're ready. Actually, July, people were like, we're ready now. So we had to kick it into gear and get production moving quickly to fulfill orders because people didn't have any merchandise. So I think, just being able to react quickly when things opened up was something that I was able to do. I produce a lot of stuff domestically, so I could turn things. I had a lot of stuff sitting there.
That's a big point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're going to cover that in the course, right? Because I get a lot of, I've worked with tons of female startups in fashion, all different, animal and human. Anyway. And that's a big problem, is like, should I produce domestically or internationally? So anyway, so I know that's something you need to cover for these people.
It depends on what you want to produce. It depends on your minimums and your size of your order. And it depends on how much you plan to invest in your business. There's a lot of things, a lot of ways to look at it. But back to the question again, I think the other thing is your marketing. The marketing since then has to be poised to take advantage of what's happening right now. So making sure that you are on social media channels, you're spending your dollars correctly for marketing, but getting your brand out there and being poised for that is another thing as well.
Okay, what else? Yeah. All right. How do you know if you have a good design idea? That's a great question. I like that question.
It is a great question because the market is saturated with, oversaturated with plenty of apparel, plenty of goods. So what makes your brand unique? What is the differentiator in your brand versus anybody else's? It can be physical. It can be something that it does that is different than anything else. So what is your differentiator? I think you got to ask that question, because when you're starting your brand, like I said, everybody is like, oh, I want to make the most beautiful, whatever.
Yeah.
What's different though? What's different? It could be, from the fabrics that you use to the way that you construct it, to the price point that it's at, to a need that it serves, a lot of different things. So, if you have something different and then you think there's a market for it, chances are you can be successful.
Yeah. Do the market research.
Yeah.
That's what I do with all my clients. Market research. And you never end with market research, right? It doesn't just not like starting a business. It's constant market.
Yeah. Because you have to make sure your product is, it's competitive. It's competitive and compelling.
Yes. The 2 C's. I agree. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. How expensive is it to start a fashion line?
It's a little expensive.
Yeah, it costs money.
Yeah, money is a key word there. There are multiple ways to do it. So if you want to go all in and you want a full collection and you want to have a new drop every season or or more than that, of course, it's going to cost you a lot of money to support that. If you want to go in focused and tight and pick a few little key capsule core items and you just want to support those and you kind of give them little updates, of course, it will cost you less. So there's different ways to look at it. So I think you got to first find out how much do you have to start to invest in the business and where you see the money continuing to stream through. Will it be on your return from sales, or are you going to need to support it with, additional funds? I wouldn't let it stop you if it's something you really want to do. I just think you gotta know how to start it.
Yeah. Yes. And here's my answer in general on business. You have to have a budget.
Yeah. You gotta start somewhere.
Right. You have to understand a budget. So I'm assuming like in fashion, you have maybe some standard kind of plans or resources for knowing how to budget a fashion line. Are there, do you know what I mean? Like, for example, a small business marketing plan for a specific city, I could turn around, there's templates out there. So are there any resources that they could look at in terms of like startup costs for a fashion brand or line?
I think, like I said, you would just need to know where you produce, you have to answer all the questions first. You have to answer all the questions, like a questionnaire, probably decide,
okay.
But yes, once you kind of lock in those components, yes, then we can get you directed somewhere so you can understand what the cost would be to get started. Yep.
Okay, good. How do you know where to manufacture your line? I think you answered that already, kind of.
Yeah. Again, it'll depend on your minimums, people call them MOQ, your minimum order quantities. Can you support it overseas, offshore, where usually they like larger units over there? Will you want to, fulfill quickly? Do you need it domestically? You got to ask, again, all those questions about what's the best place to manufacture.
Sorry, I'm turning off my mic because even with double pane windows over here.
I hear you got traffic.
It's not only that, this room is insulated, but I get outside, I'm in New York, and I'm literally in the heart of the city, and no matter what I do, there's always noise on the podcast. Sorry, everybody. I tried everything.
That's okay. I try to time mine. Luckily that there are no landscapers out and about with their, whatever, the weed whacker.
Oh my God.
And all of that. So
it's so hard. As a musician, I could go into the studio, and I was thinking about using a studio for this podcast, but it's just too dark. And then the internet stinks. So I'm going to find a solution to this eventually. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's the content that matters.
Exactly.
And it's the gorgeous women. So, all right. So that's all that matters. How do I get a sample made of a design I created? Good question.
Yes, absolutely. So,
yes.
So when I was starting, I could do some of this stuff myself. When it got a little more complicated and when I started to not have time to do some of my initial protos, I actually have a young neighbor who she wanted to get into the business, and I've been helping her, but she's been a great seamstress. She does patterns. So I was really lucky. I had her to help me. So she made some of my initial protos and patterns. And then she got too busy because she started to succeed at her job. So then I couldn't use her.
Yeah.
So I have a woman who I had met also a long time ago. I've maintained those connections. Mm-hmm. And she runs a sample room in a small factory.
Oh, perfect.
So she does all my patterns and some of my small batch production. So again, you know somebody in the industry or reach out to somebody in the industry. Like I said, I do know a few people at different levels of what they do. And they can get you what you need, a pattern, a prototype, for sure.
Cool. That's perfect. So yeah, I mean, Tina is a certified Warrior Women in Business coach on the website. So if you need her help, we give 30% off. Well, I force all my coaches to give everybody 30% off. There you go. So, all right. All right. What are the first steps to take once you know you want to start a fashion line or you have a good idea? So this person wants to know like the first couple of steps. So they have an idea. What's like the first couple of things they should do?
I think what we said before, you got to understand what your budget is to take you to the next step and where you want to allocate the budget to, because you'll want to get your prototypes made and then you're going to decide, are you going to be distributing it yourself or are you going to want to sell it to a retailer? Again, you kind of have to lay out your business plan of how you want to walk through it and how you want to get to the end goal of distribution, because there are so many different ways you can do it these days. So I think laying out your plan and knowing your budget and where you want to spend that budget.
Yeah. Well, all of these things will be answered on November 18th, but these are good. This is all great information. So we're kind of out of time. So what I want to do is, first thing I want to do is thank Tina for her time, expertise, answering all these crazy questions. So
thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Of course. And then a couple of things for folks that are listening and watching now or later. So for this weekend, that's the first thing I'm going to mention. So on Sunday on the Lower East Side, we have room for, I think, 3 more slots. If people are interested, we are doing a guided, this is the first Warrior Women in Business physical event.
I saw that on your social media. That's so exciting.
Since December 9th, 2019, which was the coolest event because my band got to play, but where we raised money for domestic violence shelters in New York City at our holiday party. But this is our first event since then. And so this is an art walk guided by women of culture, who everybody probably knows. If you've been to our events, we've done 3 events with them. So the woman that runs Women of Culture will be leading us on a guided art walk tour. And then, of course, we are having cocktails after. So it starts with a coffee, goes into art, and ends with a cocktail. I mean, perfect. That's pretty perfect.
I think so.
Yeah. And you're also going to get to actually meet 6 feet apart, some new friends and Warrior Women contacts. So we have 3 slots left. If you sign up as a member, you get a discount, Warrior Women in Business member. Anyway, so it's on warriorwomenbusiness.com. Just go to events, you'll see it. That's happening this Sunday from 12 to 3. That's that. And then Tina's class, the intensive, is November 18th at 6 p.m. You're going to get barraged with a lot of emails from me on this thing. Sign up. It's the cost of a lunch. It's nothing. So if you are at all serious about your fashion business, if you come to this, you'll save money in the long run if you're starting a fashion business. I mean, that's basically it. So, so that's also on warriorwomenbusiness.com. And so that's it. I mean, she's a couple of contact points here. Tocaya, the website is Tocaya Shop.
TakayaShop.com. Yep. You can go there to check out the product, get some ideas as well. And then there's also the discount, the WWIB 20 for 20% off any purchase from now until the end of December.
So we will put that out. Maybe Allie is putting that out right now on Facebook. I don't know. There's too many screens for me to look at the same damn time. So, but WWIB 20 for 20% off Takaya Shop. And then the course, anybody RSVP'd. And if you didn't RSVP for today's podcast and you're on right now, we'll put out the RSVP link so we can send you the discount code for the class.
Yeah, I hope everybody joins me for that class. I'm super excited. And again, like I think I said, it's important to make those contacts if you want to get into the business. And, you know, if you're there, then we can chat more. And, you know, there are a lot of opportunities to get the other people in play that you might need to build your brand.
Exactly. So those things are happening. I know I'll see you all, maybe some of you on Sunday, and all of you that are interested in fashion on November 18th. And then if there's anyone out there that has a compelling story to tell, the podcast schedule is pretty filled up until December or something, but we have a couple of programs for women that have very successful coaching businesses that want to be a part of what we're doing, which is helping female entrepreneurs. So if you're one of those, just reach out to me, Jasmine Sandler, info@warriorwomenbusiness.com, and we'll get right back to you. So thank you so much, Tina. Thank you, everybody who listened and watched us today. And we look forward to building your successful fashion brands.
Of course. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Episode 31. Thank you.